if there's an issue, if there's a problem, if someone has initiated a chargeback against you, if someone wants a refund, the primary place that we're going to look for everything is always going to be the signed. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Conscious Counsel Podcast with your host, Cory Sterling. That's me. I'm so excited that you're here and joining me this week. And in this week's episode, we're going to tackle a very interesting question, which is, when should I get my clients to re-sign their contracts? As always, the intention and the purpose of this podcast is to help health and wellness entrepreneurs protect and grow their business with confidence and clarity. That's the name of the game. That's what it's about. And that's why I take the time to share all of the information in this podcast. So in this podcast, I'm going to talk a little bit about why it's important to have clients re-sign contracts. I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of how to get clients to re-sign contracts. And then lastly, I'm going to tell a client story that I went through this week and explain why it made sense or not for the client to have their clients re-sign the contract at that point. At law, when there's a legal issue, the question's always going to be, what does the contract say? That's always where things begin and end. So if there's an issue, if there's a problem, if someone has initiated a chargeback against you, if someone wants a refund, if someone's claiming that you didn't do what you said you were going to do, the primary place that we're going to look for everything is always going to be the signed contract. Now, one issue that I see clients going through a lot of the time is they will be using old contracts and they will change the way they do things. They have a new program offer. They're increasing their prices. They've changed their refund policy. More things are included, less things are included. It used to be them doing everything. Now it's going to be someone else who's doing everything. Whatever it is, the really important legal principle to understand is that your contracts should always reflect the relationships you have with your clients. So that means if you are changing the relationship you're having with your clients, you should be changing your contracts as well. And so this is very, very important to understand. And one of the reasons why it's so important is because I often see clients changing their business, having a new offering, doing something different, wanting something different in the relationship they have with their clients. They use the same contract that they were using before. And then suddenly an issue comes up, there's a problem, whatever it is, and they'll send me an email and they'll say, hey, Cory, how do I resolve this? And I'm going to say the same thing I say every time. Send me a copy of the latest version of the signed contract. They'll send it to me and I'll be like, hey, well, this doesn't really make sense to me because you're telling me you do things this way, but the contract actually says that things are being done a different way. So what gives? How do we resolve this? And what's really important to know is that if you change what you're doing, if you increase your prices, if you change a cancellation policy, if you're going to be offering more classes, if you're offering less classes, if you're running a retreat and there's a possibility you might have to change the days, whatever it is that's coming up, if the agreement doesn't reflect that, you don't have a strong legal position against someone in the event that they're going to dispute what you're saying, challenge what you're saying, or go against what you're saying. And what I always want for all of my clients is to be in the best legal position possible. I want you to be able to navigate situations easily. I don't want you to have to worry about this. I want you to sell. I want you to grow. I want you to help. I want you to provide transformation for your clients. And I don't want you to get bogged down in the nitty-gritty of contracts and the issues. But in order for that to happen, you have to trust me. You have to trust the experience that I have working as a lawyer for 10 years and with Conscious Counsel for 9. And there are certain things that you're going to have to do. And so the correct play is when you change the way that your business operates, if it's an offer, if it's a pricing, if it's around refunds, if it's about cancellations, if it's about whatever aspect, you need to get everyone to re-sign it. Now, obviously, one of the biggest pushbacks I get from clients is, oh, well, I don't want to bombard everyone all of the time, every time I make a small change. Cool. So then I say, draft the agreement so that any big changes are captured. If there's a small change, okay, you don't want to ask 400 people to re-sign their membership agreement. I get it. But if there are significant changes, that needs to be reflected in your agreements. And if it's not, then you just run the risk of situations and problems like the story that I'm going to tell you. So the situation that I went through a client of mine this week, and this client is a Conscious Counsel Plus member. So the benefit of being a Conscious Counsel Plus member is we get unlimited consults. We've had a couple of conversations about this already, and we're working with a solution moving forward. In this particular situation, this is a gym that during COVID offered online benefits and classes. They also had particular pricing as it related to COVID. And this is a lot of years, this is like 5 years ago. And they just never updated their agreements. And they just recently got an email from someone who's in the community who's like, hey, I just realized that I've been paying this low, this price of whatever it was. I think it was like $14. I've been paying $14 for 5 years and I've never used this once. So I want a refund for all of this money. And I got on a call with the client. And what question do you think I asked them? I said, okay, cool. I got your back. This should be pretty straightforward. Send me the latest version of the agreement that you have. And they didn't update their agreements in the past 5 years. And they want to increase the prices moving forward, but they're still using the old agreements. And the old agreements didn't say anything about refunds, cancellations, or anything like that. And so I'm with the client and I said, okay, awesome. Send me a copy of the terms and conditions of this membership and we'll go from there. And I received them and they were really quite poor. And I said, okay, cool. In the situation that you're in, you have two options. One option is you clean house, send an email to all of the members and say, hey guys, we've updated our terms and conditions. This is what the cost moving forward is. These are the new terms of the relationship. No refunds, no cancellations, protecting intellectual property, all of those sorts of things. No, no grandfathering the rates that you came in at. Okay, cool. And you have to send it to all of your members. And just so you understand, if you send it to all of your members, they have an opportunity to not continue. They can say, okay, well, I agreed to the old terms, and they're probably not going to reread the old agreement that we did not draft, and maybe they won't continue. But whoever does continue will have to be bound to the new terms and the new prices, and that's how all of it goes. Or you can just, it sucks to have to give this person a refund for 5 years at the certain amount, but the agreement that you have doesn't protect you. And it's such an interesting position for clients because sometimes if you have a wide enough membership base, sometimes people don't want to change their agreements. And they say, well, we have a lot of people and maybe there's, 70 inactive users, and we only get a refund request every 4 months. So we just want to keep the agreements as they are and not change it. And I said, okay, cool, you can do that, but just so you know that you're not going to have any legal protection against you for this moving forward. And in the end, the client decided to, okay, obviously I want to make the changes. I need to bump the price point up. There are a lot of people who are using this, and to have it at such a low rate doesn't make sense. And also, I want to avoid a situation moving forward where someone is able to get a refund from me for years of services because my original contract didn't capture it. And so, awesome. We're working together. We're coming up with a new contract that reflects the brand, reflects what the client wants to do, keeps them protected, protects all of the information in the relationship that it is that they're looking for. And it's just a situation that comes into my email box and comes into my Zoom meeting, and I chat with someone, and it's crazy because they've got a really, really successful gym and the agreements they're using do not protect them. And it's very, very common that studios will use outdated agreements and they'll get burned by it. And in this situation, it's like the clarity and the ease that the client felt in having legal agreements that reflect the current relationship they want to have with their clients is fantastic. And that's why we do what we do, so that if there's an issue in the future, we're able to navigate it. And the documents that you have reflect the way your business runs today, June 2026. That's really the name of the game. You always want your agreements to reflect the way that your business runs. So in summary, if the question is, when should I be updating my agreements? The answer is, you want to update your agreements and get clients to sign them when you make changes to any of your policies, any significant changes to your policies, to your pricing, to refunds, to cancellations. This, if you're a retreat organizer, if you're a coach, if you're a studio, whatever it is, it applies to everyone. What is the risk if you don't make the change? The risk if you don't make the change is that when and if a problem comes up, you're not going to be protected because the the law will look at what is the last contract signed between these parties, and what does that reflect. And if the parties were changing their relationship, the contracts would reflect that as well. So if the contract doesn't reflect it, any good lawyer on the other side who is, initiating a chargeback for thousands of dollars is just going to say, okay, well, if they intended to have this new relationship, they would have updated their contracts. So I know that it's not the most fun thing in the world to update your contracts entirely. And my advice is wait until there are enough significant changes that the relationship you have is different enough, and just send an email to your whole community. Hey guys, we've updated our terms. We're making everything's better for our community. Here's the DocuSign link. Just type your name in and click this, or even just click a box. Hey, click this box to agree to be bound by the terms. If you don't sign this within 30 days, unfortunately, we can't continue to serve you or give you access, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, always remember that you want your agreements to reflect the relationships that you have with your clients. And if you're using older, outdated agreements, you're not going to be protected. And if you're using older, outdated agreements and an issue comes up, there's nothing that a lawyer can do, even if they really, really love you and want to see you succeed, just like I do. So if any of this makes sense, follow us on Instagram and just find @Conscious Counsel. Send us a message. Let me know if you have any issues or you need updates to your agreements. We love getting more members into the Conscious Counsel Plus membership portal because we get to really dive in and support and help. So find us on Instagram. Whatever it is that you do, make sure you work with a lawyer who loves you. And thank you so much, and have a wonderful week.